Today's video is going to be my final thoughts and review on the Dark Pictures Anthology's The Devil in Me. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with the Dark Pictures Anthology. Recall that in the second game, Little Hope, my save file was corrupted and I did not get to experience the end on my own console. And that was incredibly frustrating to invest so much time saving all the characters and not being able to get a true payoff. And not to mention a trophy, but that's for another day. The games are and still are glitchy, but there is a certain sense of charm and a great sense of horror, especially now. I mean, it's Halloween, right? That it's hard to deny is good. I wish they slowed down the development of the games and worked more on their engine. And it is still relevant in this game, maybe not so much in this specific section I'm showing you, which occurs very early on. But it is definitely much more prevalent towards the end of the game when you see just how many hiccups the game has. So, and I'll get into that in a minute. But before I get ahead of myself, let me say I'm not really going to get into many spoilers here. This game is hard to spoil in the sense that a lot of the decisions you make are your own. The way the characters will talk to each other, the way that they will act is largely based on the inputs that you select for them, the relationships they'll have, the way you answer questions, if you give quest items from one character to another. Those will all have impacts on how you play this game. So what is this particular story? Well, it's about a set of filmmakers who go to an island and this private collector of H.H. Holmes and all of his grotesque items that he has collected through the years. So if you're not familiar, H.H. Holmes is actually, or was, I should say, actually a serial killer who was kind of considered like one of the first in the United States. And this game is about this film crew trying to do a documentary on him and being invited to this private collector's home. Things go awry when the private collector isn't who he turns out to be, and it's up to you to survive. Now, like all the other Dark Pictures games, if you don't save a character, the story goes on. Dialogue choices obviously may be limited. You may not get the full story, especially at the end, kind of putting all the pieces together, because each individual character will begin to uncover different things about what's actually going on here. And it's not until the very end when whoever's left kind of sits and talks and does their debrief will you piece together everything. In my playthrough, which I usually only play these games one time because after that I feel like I'm artificially trying to get different endings that I didn't quote-unquote earn. That's just my own unique thing. In my particular playthrough, 3 of the 5 characters survived. One died in a way that I feel was kind of like a lessons learned death. It made me understand the killer's intentions a little bit better, which helped me actually save another character. So that was kind of an okay mulligan, I guess. And one character died because they didn't use an item the way that I thought they would, and I explicitly set up something unique for them that I thought was a situation they could get out of, and they didn't. So that was a little frustrating. Sometimes you are limited to how the game will react, and based on some of the decisions you make, you think you're doing something and the game plays out differently. That's just part of the ride. You will get these premonitions, just like in the previous game, that will give you clues as to how to potentially save a character, usually by showing you a character's morbid death. So if you see a character dying next to a red door, for example, and you're given a choice later on in the game to go between a red door and a blue door, you'll probably select the blue door because you know that the red door may lead to death, just as an example. And these clues are scattered throughout the universe and through this mansion, which does take about 8 hours to beat. But these clues will kind of help you and to navigate your playthrough in a meaningful way. If you want to do that, if you just want to go ham and kill off everybody, well, there's actually an ending for that too. Your game will end a little bit sooner, but there's absolutely an ending for that too. The Dark Pictures Anthology wrapped up their what they call Season 1 with this game. The games are loosely connected to each other. This one definitely had much more emphasis on each character having kind of a unique power or trait, although I don't really feel like they were that useful. Here you're looking at a snippet of Jamie utilizing her multimeter to open up and to be an electrical engineer to like open up electrical corridors. This doesn't really seem that compelling to me. You're just basically following. The multimeter doesn't even light up or do anything, which is really dumb, but you're just basically flipping switches based on an arrow puzzle, which will allow you to turn on lights and open doors and that sort of thing. Another character has a camera. Another character has a sound meter. They all have unique uses, but they aren't required in the game, and I don't think the game did a very good job at times of utilizing them. However, what this game does absolutely nail is the jank. And you saw, probably if you were paying attention a minute ago, my character looking through the back of their head, seeing the back of their eyes, seeing their teeth. It's very, very, very odd. It's not meant to be that way, obviously. This game has a lot of glitches and jank. Now, thankfully, there were no game-breaking glitches or crashes. There were, like I said, in Little Hope. There weren't any in this game. I was not kicked back to my PlayStation 5 screen at any time. All the decisions, the lights, everything I needed to do worked, but it didn't really work that great because you get a lot of jank. Perfect example, there's a part later on in the game when you are hiding from somebody inside of an ice locker. And there's a breathing mini game you have to do where you tap the X button in coordination with these meters on the screen to basically control your breathing and stay alive. Okay, pretty cool, right? However, I actually had this character was holding a light source that I guess when he climbed into the ice chest didn't like turn off. So you're looking at the killer's perspective. He's walking up to the ice chest. My hand is clipping through the ice chest with a flashlight shining in his face. And the light source is illuminating the ice chest and the killer behind me and everything. And it looks really, really stupid, and it totally breaks the moment. Another time, there was a character who was toasting to, having a drink and toasting to somebody else, except their wine glass did not spawn in, so they were holding nothing in their hand and drinking out of nothing in their hand. This kind of stuff is very common in these games, and that's why I said, to me, they really owe it to themselves to go back to kind of the drawing board and to kind of like fix the core tech, because it does kind of ruin the moment. And I gotta admit, in this game, I experienced, I'm gonna say, probably a dozen jump scares. I mean, legitimate jump scares, where I was actually legitimately like, whoo, and I like threw my controller in the air. There's some really good environmental sound effects and environmental music here if you're playing with headphones. As you guys know, I got some new headphones. I'll be doing a review on them here in the next week or so as they kind of warm up a little bit. But having a nice high-end sound system, and in my case, these really nice headphones, the ambience, the environmental noises, the sound effects of this creepy mansion, hearing the killer in the room next to you moving around and clanking with things, the way the floorboards creak when you walk, the way the jump scares hit you. Wow, it was really, really, really good. And I really, really liked the way that this game looks and the way that this game plays, especially on an OLED, especially at night when the screen is dark, when you only have a light source to help kind of illuminate what you're seeing in your environment around you. It was amazing, and I love this game for that. And all the Season 1 games of the Dark Picture Anthology really nail good environment. This game in particular doesn't deal with anything supernatural. So you're really just dealing with a deranged killer and why are they doing what they are doing and what is their intent and purpose. And it had a much more human element to it, and I really appreciated that. I think that Dark Pictures works best when it gets away from some of the supernatural stuff and focuses more on reality. And this game just really, really spoke to me in that sense, and I loved it. The characters themselves, the plot was a little weak. It was probably the weakest set of characters, honestly, out of the whole series. Definitely the weakest set of kind of overarching plot, I thought, despite the fact that it did have that human element. The kind of twists and turns weren't really all that impactful. A lot of the early decisions you make didn't really seem to make a lot of sense until later on. And by then, your fate was kind of sealed with certain characters, and that was a little frustrating. But overall, I absolutely adored this game, and I loved it, and I can't wait for more. They've already said that they're working on another game. You actually get a premonition to that in the next game, so we'll get to see how that plays out. And I can't wait to get into some more Dark Pictures. So that'll wrap up my review of this game. Go out and play it. It is on PlayStation Premier Extreme Ultimate Edition. I highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.